Hello viewers, welcome back to my channel. I am Neha Paryani, and in this session we are going to discuss another topic from second chapter of your statistics, that is methods of collecting primary data. Okay, so basically there are two types of data, that is primary data and secondary data. So in detail about these we have already discussed in our previous video. Okay, if you want to watch the previous video, you can get its link in the description box below or at the end of this video. Okay, basically primary data is when the data is collected for the very first time by the researcher or investigator. Okay, this data is already never used and it is never collected by anyone. For a particular purpose we are collecting this data for the first time, we in the sense the researcher. Okay, and secondary data is the data which is already collected and used by other persons, so we are further using it for our own studies. So the researcher just collects this data from somebody else, that is secondary data. You can also call it as a second hand data. So collection of data for statistics is very important. Data is nothing but the raw or unprocessed information which will help us to analyze, to study a particular uh, area, and we can come to a conclusion. Nothing but we can carry on statistics with it. So data is very important. So in this video we will discuss only about the methods of collecting primary data. Okay, in my upcoming video we will be discussing about methods of collecting secondary data also. So basically there are five methods in which the primary data can be collected: observation method, direct personal interview method, indirect oral investigation method, information from correspondence, and questionnaire method. We will discuss about these one by one in detail. So the first method of primary data collection is observation method. So basically in this method what happens, as the name suggests, so observation, by observation, collecting information only by observation. Okay, so here the investigator is trying to collect the data by either watching or listening or reading or touching and recording the behavior of the surroundings. Clear? Here no personal contact or no communication with the person about whom the data is being collected will not be involved. Okay, so only there is a single party involved in this kind of um, data collection method, that is only the investigator. Okay, without communicating with anyone, by only his own analysis, by his own observation, he is trying to grab some information from the surroundings. Okay, so this method will be suitable when investigator is trying to understand an ongoing process or a situation, or when a private inquiry is to be conducted. So basically when we can use this observation method, so when we have to study about a process. Okay, like for example, I'm going to plant a seed. Okay, so I want to notice that in how many days it will grow as a plant. Correct? So then that is a process, that is a whole process involved in it. I want to study about that, or how after how many days the plant will give flowers. So that is a process. Now I cannot communicate with the plant. Correct? I just have to observe. So in such studies observation method can be useful, right? Or another situation can be when a secret investigation or when a private inquiry is to be conducted, about which even the informant or about the person by whom the information is being collected, that should also not be known. When the secret information has to be collected, then observation method can be useful. Okay, so there are certain merits and demerits for all the methods, right? So the merits for observation methods are confidentiality. So as I told you, when a secret information is to be collected, a single person, the investigator or the researcher himself, can observe and keep that information to himself. he should not, he should not reveal that information to another one. So there are more chances of keeping the information secret here. Clear? That is a benefit. Then, so it is useful for small area of investigation. Yes. So when the field or when the area of investigation is too small, then a single person can carry on the observation method of collecting data. Okay, like if the area is very wide, area of information from which we have to collect, if it is very wide, then a single person cannot do only observation, then he will require a team. Correct? Only when the area of investigation is small, this method can be useful, and this is less expensive. So as it does not involve any team, okay, as it does not involve a lot of formalities, only by observation the information is being collected, we can say that it is less expensive. It will involve only the traveling expenses of the observant or the investigator. Clear? There are certain demerits also for this method. So demerits is time consuming. Yes. So when the task is to be done by a single person, that too without communicating with anybody, so then it definitely takes a lot of time. Okay, it takes a time to grab all the required information, then it could be less accurate. So, as there is no communication with another person involved here, all the decisions, all the conclusions, all the analysis has to be made by the investigator itself. And the analysis of the investigator might be wrong. Okay, so the thought process or analysis made by the investigator could be wrong, his observation could be wrong, so it is comparatively less accurate. This is the first method, that is observation method. Very simple. Just by observing the surroundings, the investigator is trying to grab the information. Okay, second method that we have is direct personal interview method. Okay, so in this method what happens, so here two parties will be involved. So one party is the investigator, the person who is trying to collect the data, and another party is the informant. Okay, investigator and the informant is the person who is providing the information. Correct? Yes. So basically what happens, this is a kind of a communication, a small talk between the investigator and the informant. Here the investigator directly meets the informant and discuss about the information he want to collect, as you can see in the image here. Okay, so in order to collect the data from personal interview method, yes, this is very important. When a person wants to carry on this method, the investigator has to be very diligent. Okay, he has to be very friendly, he has to be, he has to uh, he should not hurt the sentiments of the other person. The other person should not feel uncomfortable by providing information to him. He should be efficient, he should be impartial and tolerant. Okay, so these qualities an investigator should have if he want to directly communicate with the informant, or if he want to use the direct personal interview method. Okay, basically here the involvement of two parties will be involved. Correct? So here directly both the persons can communicate with each other and pass the information. So now this method is suitable when the field of investigation is small and data is to be kept confidential. Again, the same thing. So when the field of investigation, nothing but area, you can say area of investigation is small. Definitely, right? So when the information is to be collected, like suppose from 5 to 10 people, this method can be useful. Correct? Now suppose that the information has to be collected from over 1,000 people. So do you think that this method will be practical? So investigator cannot communicate with 1,000 people individually. That will take a lot of time and effort. Correct? So that is why when the area of investigation or field of investigation is small, Like suppose investigator want to collect information only from 2 to 3 people, maximum 5 to 10 people, then this method can be used. Okay, here one to one communication will be involved. Correct? Then the merits of this method are, so accurate information. Yes. So because the investigator is directly talking or communicating with the informant, so the informant is more likely to provide correct or accurate information. Okay, then that is reliable. So because the information is accurate, the investigator can completely depend upon the informant. Okay, so for the information, so that is why it is reliable. And third, originality. Definitely there is originality, because directly, for the very first time, the information is being provided from the informant itself. Okay, so the information is not spreading anywhere, it is only between two people here. Then what are the demerits of this method? So it is difficult to cover wide areas. As I already told you, if the field of investigation is like, suppose the investigator want to collect information from 1,000 people, then this method is not very practical, as the investigator cannot talk to 1,000 people individually. Personally, he cannot contact 1,000 persons. Okay, so that is why it could be difficult. It's not impossible, it is difficult to cover wide areas. It is time consuming, definitely, because from each and every informant the investigator has to communicate personally. But again, that will take a lot of time, and it could be of high cost. Why? Because the investigator has to travel to the place where the informant is. Okay, along with it, he might also require some resources. Correct. So that is why it could involve a little more cost. These are the advantages and disadvantages of a direct personal interview method. Now the third method that we have is indirect oral interview method. Okay, so in this method, this is quite opposite to the direct personal interview method. In direct personal interview method, what happened? The investigator directly uh, meets the informant and asks or questions whatever the information he requires. But in this case, what happens? So the investigator will not directly meet the informant. So as you can see, there will be no direct contact between the investigator and the informant. So instead of that, in this method, the information will be grabbed from the third party or some other person. Okay, it is grabbed from some other person. Like suppose I'll give you an example for better understanding. Okay, the principal of your school wants to know about your behavior. So the principal will definitely not directly go to the student, right? Will not directly go to the student to ask about his behavior. So he will ask his class teacher. Correct? The principal is class asking to the class teacher about the behavior of the student. Okay, here the investigator is principal, and the informant or the person about whom the information is being collected is the student. But the information is being collected by some other person, that is nothing but the class teacher, a third party, correct, or an other person. So he or she will provide that information to the investigator. This is indirect oral interview method. There's no personal contact or direct contact between the principal and the student. Involvement of third party is involved here. Okay, this method will be suitable when field of investigation is large. Yes, and direct contact is not possible. Yes, now when the field of investigation is large, this is useful. Why? Because investigators do not have to directly contact the informant. No matter the informant is in some other country and the investigator is in some other country, still collecting the information will be easier, because no need of personal contact here. Okay, and also when direct contact is not possible between both of them, this method can be useful. So the merits of this method is wide coverage. Yes. So no matter for how many people we want to collect the information about, this method can be useful. Okay, another example I'll give. So the municipality authority of a city or will have a telephone directory in which the telephone number of each and every citizen will be recorded. Okay, now suppose if I want to use somebody's telephone number. Okay, and then I can go to the telephone directory and I can ask for some person's telephone number. Okay, here the municipality authority is the third party or the other person who is providing me the information. Okay, so it has a wide coverage. Then it is less expensive. Yes, only communication with the other person or third party is involved, so it is less expensive. It is simple also. Yes, only we need is a person who can provide us information. Other than that, the process is simple. The demerits here are it is less accurate. Correct. Because there is no direct personal contact between the investigator and the informant, it is possible that the other person or the third party may provide wrong information sometimes. So it could be less accurate. Yes, doubtful conclusions, again the same reason. When the information is provided by some other person, then there are the chances that there are the chances that the conclusions can be doubtful because the information which is provided may not be very reliable. These are the merits and demerits of indirect oral interview method. Then fourth method that we have is information from correspondence. Okay, correspondents are also known as the local persons. So basically in this method what happens, so the investigator will appoint some of the correspondents or local persons. In simple terms, you can say an agent who can provide the information to the investigator. Okay, so the agent will be continuously involved in collecting the information from various fields, okay, from various sources, and will provide that information to the investigator. Okay, so here agent is working on behalf of the investigator. So as you can see this image, so you must have seen, right? So if a news channel can appoint a lot of agents, lot of journalists who are continuously involved in collecting the data from various sources. Okay, so they are like an agent who are collecting the data from an informant, and then they are providing it to the media house, the main investigator. Okay, so here the person is appointed to act on behalf of the investigator. So the agent could be a single person or there could be many agents, so who could be in different areas or different places. All these agents together collectively provide information to the investigator. Okay, this method is suitable when regular and continuous information is needed. Yes, so when when the research or the study is not restricted for a time period. Okay, so that research or study has to be conducted for a very long time, then in that cases the correspondence will be helpful. Like suppose you people know CBI, okay, or even the police officers will have some of their agents, some of their secret detectives. We call them as secret detectives. So they appoint certain agents who will not reveal their identity, but will be secretively collecting the information and providing it to the concerned agencies, to the police or the CBI. Okay, so in such cases, the information will be required in continuous manner. It is not only for a particular case or for a particular time period. right? Then, and the field of investigation is large. Yes, when the field of investigation is large, when a single investigator cannot carry on all the process, then he has to appoint certain agents. Okay, as I told, agents could be one or many. So many agents will be at different places and will continuously collect the information and provide it to the investigator. Now, the merits of this system are it is economical. Yes, see, when the large field of investigation is to be carried, so only what we require is certain agents. Other than that, not much is required. Okay, so it could be less expensive or it could be economical. Okay, then wide coverage. Again, as I told you, many agents can be appointed to cover different places. A wide area could be covered. And continuity, yes, because agents will be continuously involved in this process itself, so there is no time lag in collecting the information. So investigator will be continuously getting the information. The demerits are loss of originality. Sometimes it is possible because, see, the information we are getting here from the agent, not directly from the informant. So again, the information is being transferred from 2 to 3 persons in between, 2 to 3 stages in between. So in that case, what happens? Originality definitely loses. So originality can be maintained only when the communication happen between the investigator and the informant. Okay, only when two parties are involved, originality can be maintained. But when certain other persons involved in between this process, definitely there will be loss of originality. Okay, then next, delay in collection. Sometimes this is also possible. So the even though the agents are continuously involved in the process, so due to some reasons there will be some delays uh, of collection of data. Okay, then fifth and most important method that we have is information through questionnaire and schedules. Okay, so basically a questionnaire, you can say it is kind of a list of questions prepared uh, about the topic for which we need to conduct the information. Okay, see, as you can see in this image, a questionnaire is a set of questions or the list of questions, kind of a question paper which involves a lot of questions. Okay, so this is very simple method, right? A person can prepare a can prepare a set of questions which they want to ask to the public. Okay, suppose I'll give you an example. Now I want to start up a company, or assume I already have a company. Okay, and I want to launch a car. I want to launch a car in the market. So now I want to ask to the public, to the general public, that what all are their requirements. Okay, what all are their requirements, what they expect from a car. Right, now I can prepare a set of questions relating to it, like what color is preferred. Okay, what size is preferred, what is the price range that they prefer. Okay, questions similar to that topic, all those will be included in this questionnaire, and I can give this questionnaire to the public to fill it. So from that questionnaire I can collect the information. I can come to know what people expect from a car. Okay, and I will try to meet the expectations of general public, so that I can maximize the sales of my car. Then there are two ways of collecting information on the basis of a questionnaire, right? So questionnaire can be sent to general public or can be passed to general public by actually two methods. So first method is by mailing method and second method is by enumerators method. Let us discuss one by one. So mailing method, as the name itself has, mails. Okay, sending the questionnaires, or yes, sending the questionnaires with the help of mails. See, when we have to reach to a large public, okay, when we have to cover the wide area of investigation, then again this method can be used. This method is suitable. So what happens if we only have the mail id of the, or email id of the informant, we can send this questionnaire to the informants, okay, and at a time the mail could be sent to thousands of people, right? We can just attach the questionnaire along with one letter which will include the purpose of inquiry. Okay, we can provide them the information, we can provide them the instructions and the questionnaire, so which they could fill it from their device at their convenience and resend it to the investigator. Okay, so this is very easy method through which a wide area could be covered. It is very less expensive, right? It only requires a computer with an internet connection. That's all, nothing much. Okay, so informants at their convenience, they can fill the questionnaire and send it back to the investigator. Okay, so as it is given, this method is useful when the field of study is large and the informants are educated. Yes, this is very important. The informants should be able to use the mail, or should have an knowledge about how to fill an a questionnaire, or how to send a mail. Then only this method could be useful. So there are certain demerits also for this mailing method. Many times people ignore many mails, okay, especially when it requires to perform some task from them. Now filling a questionnaire is a task for everybody, right? They have to perform so activity of filling the questionnaire. So in many cases this could be ignored by the people. Okay, this is the major drawback. Then we have enumerators method. Okay, so here enumerator is again a person or an agent who will be appointed by an investigator. Okay, now here enumerator will directly go to the informant and uh, will pass the questionnaire to them. Okay, if the informant is uneducated or illiterate or is unable to fill the questionnaire, the enumerator does that on behalf of the informant. Clear? Basically enumerator will keep on asking the questions to them and will fill all the information, as you can see in this image. Okay, so the example that I can give you for this method is when government want to conduct the study about the census. So then government teachers will visit each and everybody's house. They'll bring a set of questions with them. They'll bring a questionnaire. They will question us many things, like how many members are there in a family, out of them how many are children, how many are adults, how many go to school, right? What is the income of the family? All these questions will be asked by them. That is nothing but a set of questionnaire, right? And whatever information we provide, they just fill it in their questionnaire. Correct? So this is the uh, enumerators method. He's a person, he's an agent appointed by an investigator who will help him in collecting the data through questionnaire. Okay, this method will be useful when informants are ignorant. As I told you, when informants directly do not want to fill the they directly do not want to fill the questionnaire, or when they are illiterate or in not a position to fill the questionnaire. Okay, so these were the methods of collection of the primary data. So according to the research, the investigator can choose any one or many options from these or methods for collecting the primary data. But collection of the data accurately is very important for conducting the research. Okay, so that is all for today. In my upcoming video, we are going to discuss about the methods of collecting secondary data. Okay, so stay tuned. I hope to see you all in my upcoming video. So thanks for joining, and please subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your friends. Thank you.